Thank you for visiting my channel. Hope everybody had a good day at work or having a good day going to work. Let's talk about a little bit, pretty much most everybody, especially if you around my age, has rode a Greyhound once or twice in their life. Well, Greyhound had another accident here in 2023. I used to work for Greyhound. I think it was back in 2017, 2016, something like that. I worked there for 2 years. At least 3 dead and 14 injured after crash involving Greyhound bus and other vehicles in Illinois. This happened in 2023, not long ago. Hit a semi truck. At least 3 people are dead and 14 injured after a crash involving a Greyhound bus and 3 other vehicles early Wednesday in southern Illinois. Initial investigation indicates a Greyhound passenger bus with passengers was traveling westbound on Interstate 70 and struck 3 commercial motor vehicles parked on the exit ramp to the Silver Lake Interstate 70 westbound rest area. No one in the other vehicles was injured. The crash happened just before 2 a.m. in Madison County. Three fatalities are confirmed and multiple others were taken to a hospital with serious injuries, 4 by helicopter and at least 10 by ambulance. The bus was traveling from Indianapolis to St. Louis. Okay. I remember this accident happened when I was working at Greyhound. Guy hit a guardrail here in DFW. A woman was killed and at least 16 people were injured, including one man who is in critical condition after a Greyhound bus carrying 42 people was involved in a multi-vehicle crash in Texas. The fatality and the critically injured person were in a car involved in the crash. The crash occurred around 5:30 a.m. on I-30 in Arlington, Texas. The car carrying the critically injured man and the woman who died crashed into a barrier and stalled before it was hit by the Greyhound. None of the injuries sustained by people on the bus were life-threatening. The bus was headed to Amarillo from Dallas. I remember that accident. I was working at Greyhound at the time. This was in 2015. A jury, this is another Greyhound rear end collision here. Jury awards injured Cleveland Greyhound passenger $27 million in 2013 crash. A Cuyahoga County jury found Greyhound Lines is responsible for medical bills of a Cleveland man injured in this October 2013 collision between a bus and a tractor trailer in White Deer Township, Pennsylvania. The jury found the bus driver, Sabrina Anderson, fell asleep and rear-ended the truck. Let me see if I can get a picture of this bus crash. That's what I'm trying to do right now. I'll find it later. I'll just read the article and find it later. Yeah, because that's not a picture of it right there. A Cuyahoga County jury has ordered Greyhound Lines to pay more than $27 million to a bus driver injured in a 2013 crash after the driver fell asleep along a Pennsylvania highway and struck the rear of a tractor trailer. Mark Soberay, now 45, lost his right leg and underwent more than 30 surgeries to repair a hole in his heart, torn muscles in his shoulder, and crushed bones in his foot, pelvis, and arm. It's been complete hell, the Cleveland music studio owner said in a telephone interview. It's made the most simple of things very difficult. The jury awarded him $23 million in compensatory damages and just over $4 million in punitive damages after weeks of testimony in which Soberay's attorney argued that Greyhound failed to enforce a rule requiring drivers to stop every 150 miles. 150 miles, that's a long time. That's 3 hours. That is a long time. Considering Greyhound hours of service rules are you can drive. You Greyhound give you 9 hours, but after 8 hours you can drive 10. Truck drivers, tractor trailer drivers, after 14 off duty hours, after 14 on duty hours, you have to take a 10-hour break. Now with Greyhound, after 15 on duty hours, you have to take an 8-hour consecutive sleep break. And out of those 15 hours, you can only drive 10. Now, truck drivers, they got 14 hours and you can drive 11. Now, let me tell you the difference between Greyhound and driving an 18-wheeler. Driving an 18-wheeler, if you're having a bad day, you can pull over and take a nap. There's a bed in the back. Okay? You can pull over and take your nap if you're having a bad day on a truck. Take you about an hour nap, 2 hour nap. Driving a bus, you can't. There's nowhere to sleep on that bus. Then when you get where you're going, they say 9 hours. Dispatch calls you at 8 hours sometimes. Depends on if they have drivers. They'll call you at 8 hours sometimes. Now, when you get to the bus terminal, you have to unload the passengers, get your bags, and wait on a cab. And get to the hotel. That's 30 minutes. You take a dump, you eat, you take a bath. That's another 30 minutes. That's an hour. Now, if they short of drivers, they're going to call you with 8 hours. That means you don't have but 7 hours. It takes you a minimum of 30 minutes to get to the hotel. It depends on how quick you eat and how quick you take a dump and how quick you take a shower and you go to bed. Greyhound, another thing about Greyhound, When I was working there, I don't know how they do now. If you have to work 7 consecutive days to stay out of trouble. That's right. I said you have to work 7 consecutive days in order to stay out of trouble. You can't work 5 days. You really got to have your shit together. If you work 5 days, you're going to be in trouble. You might get a few days off. Okay? You have to work 7 days to get 1 day off. 14 days, you get 2 days off. Okay, you don't work 7 days. I can't remember how many hours they give you when you get home. I can't remember how many hours they give you when you get to your home domicile. I can't remember. It's more than 8. I think it's 9. It may be 11. And you can ask for 4 or 2 on your fresh. I think they give you 12 hours. And you can ask for 2 on your fresh. That means 2 extra hours. I'm not sure how many hours they give you when you get home. I think it's 10 though. But anyway, you got to work 7 consecutive hours. No, 7 consecutive days to get 1 day off. This one I was working at about 8 years ago, 10 years ago. If you work 5 days, you're in trouble. If you work 6 days, you're in trouble. You have to work 7 consecutive days to get 1 day off. Sometimes you're driving long distances, sometimes you're not. From Dallas to Memphis, from Dallas to El Paso, so on and so on. And when you get to the hotel, you got from 8 to 9 hours. So by the time you get to the hotel and you're ready to go to bed, you got 8 or 7 hours. Now, I saw a Greyhound spokesperson say that they give their drivers 9 hours to sleep. Well, you waste an hour getting to the hotel and eating and showering. So that's just 8 hours. And like I say, sometimes they call you in 8 hours. So you only get 7 hours. And on top of that, you better have your shit together. Because there's nowhere to take a nap on that bus. You got to roll that bus. Okay. It says Greyhound demonstrated reckless indifference to the safety interests of both passengers and drivers by having contradictory rules and training procedures, and by not enforcing the 150-mile rule. They really do have contradictory rules. The decision was clearly designed to send a message to Greyhound to enforce its fatigue safety rules. Stop every 150 miles. Shit, you got to stop before 150 miles sometimes. Lawyers for Greyhound said they plan to appeal the jury's decision and declined to comment after the decision. The verdicts were the first in several pending civil cases from around the country stemming from October 9th, 2013 crash on Interstate 80 in Union County. Sabrina Anderson of Cleveland drove the bus with 49 passengers from New York to Cleveland. Sobere said he had gone to New York to cast actors for a music video. Sobere was asleep in the front passenger seat about 1:30 a.m. when the bus smashed into the rear end of a tractor trailer, killing a 37-year-old tourist from Vietnam and injuring more than 40 others. The passenger side of the bus crashed Sobere's lower body. He said the back of the truck was about 5 inches in front of his face, and that space was filled with broken pieces of the windshield. Sobere lay trapped and unconscious for 3 hours while rescue workers pulled him from the wreckage. We all know we're going to die, but that situation where I thought I'm going to die right now, Sobere said. Several passengers sued Greyhound in the court district in which they live. Greyhound lawyer said that Anderson suffered a mini stroke and passed out. She told the jury that her left leg and arm went numb moments before the crash, and she did not wake up until after the collision. But the jury found on January 22nd that Anderson most likely fell asleep and awarded Sobere $23 million. During the second punitive phase of the trial, Sobere's lawyers pointed to past Greyhound crashes in which the company said the drivers have suffered a medical emergency, despite investigators concluding the drivers likely fell asleep. I remember at one time they was talking about bringing in a device that gives you a little shock if you fall asleep. That's stupid. How about you people give drivers 10 hours rest break and don't penalize a person if they can't work 7 days a week to get 1 day off? I don't know what they're doing now. I'm just telling you what they do when I work, and they penalize you. The case hinged on a rule in Greyhound's handbook that says drivers are to stop every approximately 150 miles or 3 hours to inspect the tires. The rule book also says drivers should take the stops as an opportunity to get some fresh air to ward off driver fatigue. The best way to ward off driver fatigue is sleep. Don't call a person to come to work in 8 hours when they ain't had but 7 to 6 hours worth of sleep. Don't call a person after 9 hours when they ain't had but about 8 to 7 hours worth of sleep. White Deer Township, where the crash happened, is about 190 miles from New York City. Anderson said in a sworn deposition that the route from New York City to Cleveland had one scheduled stop in a town about 225 miles from New York, and that she did not take stops that are not scheduled. Greyhound officials testified that they consider the 150-mile rule a guideline and do not push drivers for not following it. Well, when I was working there, if you made unscheduled stops, you got in trouble. Sometimes you have to make an unscheduled stop to get fresh air. Sometimes you got to make an unscheduled stop way before 150 miles or 3 hours. And they had started cracking down on that when I was there. Why? I don't know. Greyhound Safety Director Al Smith pointed to another rule that allows drivers to use their discretion and not follow certain rules based on the circumstances they encounter. Okay. Well, that sounds good on paper. Oh, Greyhound, you take too many. If you work 5 days, you do that too. A lot of drivers have lost their job for working 5 days and taking off. But that's all they could do. Work 5 days and take off. They will fire you. or they would fire you. I don't know what they're doing now. But when I was there, they would fire you. Be out of work. Because you couldn't work but 5 days. You know. And they running the dog stank out of you out on these runs. Get you to the hotel. Get you to the hotel. Uh, you better get to that hotel, eat and shower, and go to bed because they'll be calling you in about 7 hours. You know, they'll give you 9. If they short a driver, they 8 hours. Shit, depends on how quick you can get that bed and go to sleep. You got 7, 6.5, 6 hours sleep, and you got to make a 7-day week to get one day off. Greyhound lawyers pointed out that drivers are told during safety training to stop as soon as they begin to feel tired, regardless of when the next stop is scheduled. Safety is simply Greyhound's business, Thomas Manning said. Accidents cost way more money than paying the driver for an extra 15 minutes. The jury also found that Anderson should not have been relieved of her driving duties before. The jury also found that Anderson should have been relieved of her driving duties before the 2013 crash. They pointed to several incidents detailed in Anderson's personnel file in which she was accused of driving erratically and not following company rules. She might have been tired. She couldn't handle it 7 days a week. Getting called after 9 or 8 hours. Only being at the hotel 7 or 8 hours. Getting penalized if she can't work 7 hours with 1 day off. 7 days with 1 day off. People have been fired and then they petition the union to get back to work. And then they ain't got no drivers. So they calling you after 8 hours. In a 2001 incident, a passenger wrote to Greyhound that Anderson told the entire bus she could crash into a wall if she wanted to after a passenger complained of her erratic driving. No amount of money can make up for my injuries. Said Sobre, who has installed a hospital bed in his music studio. If I could wave a magic wand and go back to my old self, I would in a heartbeat. Driving a bus is a lot tougher than driving an 18-wheeler. You got to roll that bad boy. If you don't, you're in trouble. You lose your job. Once you log on to that clock, if you cannot finish your schedule, shit, you're going to be out of work. Ain't no pulling over, getting under some covers and grabbing your pillow for 30 minutes to an hour. You can pull over and step out the bus and get you some fresh air. You can do that. And you better work them 7 days a week. At least that's how they were doing when I was there. Or you're in trouble. I got in trouble. I got fired when I was there because I got to the bus terminal. They called me late to come to the bus terminal. When I got to the terminal, I wanted to get me a soda. They told me I could not get a soda. I needed to go right then. Well, see, I was a new diabetic. Frequently checking my sugar, so I had to have a soda. You know. And so I went and got my drink. I came back. I was fired. My stupid ass went to mediation and went back to work when I should have stayed out of work and let the EEOC or whatever you call them. I'd be a millionaire if I hadn't went back to work. Went back to work. They fired me on some bogus shit. Cooked up some shit and fired me. Well, no, they had me off work for a couple of weeks. That's another thing. If you get in trouble about something, an incident, you put a passenger off the bus, they put you off work 1 week, 2 weeks. Talking about investigation. Meantime, you ain't making no money. You know, they put me off work 1 week, 2 weeks. Shit, man, I just said quit. I just quit. I called them and told them I quit. You know, and then they called me back later, talking about that I want to go back to work. Is they crazy? Okay. Here's a crash that recently happened in 2023. This crash right here, I think this happened when I was there. But here's a crash that recently happened in 2023. At least 3 dead and 14 injured after crash involving Greyhound bus and other vehicles in Illinois. That's the bus. Running to a back of a, that's just happened in 2023. At least 3 people are dead and 14 injured after a crash involving Greyhound bus and 3 other vehicles early Wednesday in southern Illinois, a release from state police said. Initial investigation indicates a Greyhound passenger bus with passengers was traveling westbound on Interstate 70 and struck 3 commercial motor vehicles parked on the exit ramp to Silver Lake Interstate 70 westbound rest area, the release said. No one in the other vehicles was injured, the statement said. The crash happened just before 2 a.m. in Madison County. 3 fatalities are confirmed and multiple others were taken to the hospital with serious injuries. That's pretty bad. The lady driver, the previous story, she ran into a flatbed. I'm going to try to see if I can find that flatbed picture so you guys can take a look at it. Okay, this is the flatbed accident. I think this is the one that happened when I was working for Greyhound. I heard the lady was doing a charter and the passengers was complaining. They thought maybe that she was tired or asleep, and she got hurt too. I heard she lost her leg. Yeah, I heard she lost her leg. Let's read this here. A Greyhound bus accident along Interstate 80 in central Pennsylvania early Wednesday killed 1 person and injured more than 40, officials said. The incident happened in Union County, south of Williamsport, around 1:30 a.m. 5 hospitals reported receiving a total of more than 40 patients from the accident. At least 4 of them were listed in critical condition. Wednesday morning, the bus was traveling nonstop from New York to Ohio, carrying 49 passengers. Traveling nonstop from New York to Ohio, carrying 49 passengers, a Greyhound spokesman said. Yep, that's a charter. The nature and cause of the incident were immediately clear. State police and a Greyhound spokesman told CNN only that it was under investigation. Westbound 80 near the Williamsport exit was expected to remain closed until noon, Burrows said. They said the nature and cause of the incident were immediately clear. Non-stop between New York, the bus was traveling non-stop from New York to Ohio. Let me see, non-stop from New York to Ohio. How long is that? That's an 8 hour trip. That's an 8 hour trip. Now you can stop. You're gonna stop on that 8 hours on a charter, most definitely. They ain't gonna want to stay on that bus that long. Hell, that looked like a bus I might have drove. 6345. Anyway, uh, yeah. When you're on that Greyhound, all I can say is if the bus start wobbling, just politely, non-threateningly, ask the driver to go take him a break. Say, bus driver, can we have a break or do you need a break? Be nice about it. Bus driver, take as many breaks as you want. Take you a break. Tell them to pull over, take them. We all take a break. We can be late. I hope everybody enjoyed this video and got a little bit out of this video. Thank you for watching. Have a blessed day.